Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? It's time to stop the madness and start budgeting like a boss. Hello and welcome back to our channel, Keep Hustling D. If you have watched our previous video regarding financial mistakes to avoid, we have promised that we will come up with detailed videos of all financial mistakes. Hence, today we will be discussing about not having a budget. Money is one of the most important things in life, but it can also be one of the most stressful. Whether you're dealing with debt, living paycheck to paycheck, or simply trying to save for a rainy day, the key to success is having a budget. In this video, we'll explore why having a budget is so important, how to create a budget that works for you, and tips for sticking to your budget and achieving your financial goals. So let's get started. Part 1. Why having a budget is important. First, let's talk about why having a budget is so important. A budget is simply a plan for how you will spend your money. It allows you to see where your money is going and make informed decisions about how to allocate your resources. Here are a few reasons why having a budget is crucial. Helps you reach your goals. Having a budget can help you achieve your financial goals, whether that's paying off debt, saving for a down payment on a house, or building an emergency fund. By knowing exactly where your money is going, you can make informed decisions about how to allocate your resources and stay on track. Prevents overspending. Without a budget, it's easy to overspend and find yourself in debt. By setting spending limits and sticking to them, you can avoid overspending and stay within your means. Helps you manage debt. If you're in debt, a budget can help you manage your payments and pay down your debt faster. By prioritizing debt repayment in your budget, you can avoid falling further into debt and start making progress toward becoming debt-free. Part 2. How to create a budget that works for you. Now that we've covered why having a budget is so important, let's talk about how to create a budget that works for you. Here are the steps to follow. Track your income and expenses. The first step in creating a budget is to track your income and expenses. This can be done manually with pen and paper or using an online budgeting tool. Make a list of all of your sources of income and all of your expenses, including bills, groceries, entertainment, and anything else you spend money on. Set your priorities next. You need to set your priorities. Decide what your financial goals are and how much money you need to allocate to each one. For example, if you're trying to pay off debt, you'll need to prioritize debt repayment in your budget. Create spending categories. Once you've tracked your income and expenses and set your priorities, it's time to create spending categories. Divide your expenses into categories like housing, transportation, food, entertainment, and so on. Assign a dollar amount to each category based on your priorities and income. Stick to your budget. Finally, the most important step in creating a budget is sticking to it. Review your budget regularly to make sure you're staying on track and adjust it as needed. If you overspend in one category, you may need to cut back in another to stay within your budget. Part 3. Common budgeting mistakes and how to avoid them. Not accounting for irregular expenses. One of the most common budgeting mistakes is not accounting for irregular expenses. These might include things like car repairs, medical bills, or gifts for holidays or birthdays. It's important to include a category in your budget for these types of expenses, so you're not caught off guard when they come up. To account for irregular expenses, try estimating the total cost of these expenses over a year, and then dividing that by 12 to get a monthly average. You can then set aside that amount of money each month in a separate savings account or budget category. Not adjusting your budget as needed. Another mistake people often make is not adjusting their budget as needed. Your financial situation can change over time, whether it's due to a change in income, a new job, or an unexpected expense. If you're not regularly reviewing and adjusting your budget, you may find yourself overspending or falling short on your financial goals. To avoid this, try reviewing your budget at least once a month, and make adjustments as needed. This might mean cutting back on expenses in certain categories or allocating more money to your savings or debt repayment goals. Not building in flexibility. While it's important to have a budget and stick to it, it's also important to build in some flexibility. Unexpected expenses can and will arise, and if you don't have some wiggle room in your budget, you may find yourself struggling to cover those expenses. One way to build in flexibility is to create a miscellaneous category in your budget. This can be a catch-all for unexpected expenses or things that don't fit neatly into other categories. Just make sure you're not using this category as an excuse to overspend. Part 4. Tips for sticking to your budget. Use cash envelopes. One effective way to stick to your budget is to use cash envelopes. This involves withdrawing cash for certain categories, like groceries or entertainment, and then putting that cash in an envelope. Once the cash is gone, you can't spend any more in that category until the next budgeting period. Using cash envelopes can help you stay accountable to your budget and make you more mindful of your spending. Plus, it can be a good way to help you avoid overspending on credit cards. Automate your savings. Another tip for sticking to your budget is to automate your savings. This means setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account or other investment accounts. By automating your savings, you're less likely to spend that money on other things, and you can make steady progress toward your financial goals. Celebrate your wins. Finally, don't forget to celebrate your wins along the way. Budgeting and saving can be a long and sometimes difficult process, so it's important to acknowledge your progress and give yourself a pat on the back. Whether it's paying off a credit card or reaching a savings goal, take the time to celebrate your successes and keep yourself motivated for the next step. Part 5. Dealing with unexpected expenses. Even the most well-planned budget can be derailed by unexpected expenses, such as medical bills or car repairs. To prepare for these situations, it's important to have an emergency fund. This is a separate savings account that you can dip into when unexpected expenses arise. Try to set aside at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses in your emergency fund. If you're just starting out, this may seem like a daunting goal, but even setting aside a small amount each month can add up over time. Part 6. Avoiding impulse purchases. One of the biggest threats to your budget is impulse purchases. These are the things you buy on a whim, without really considering whether you need or can afford them. To avoid impulse purchases, try implementing a cooling-off period. When you see something you want to buy, wait at least 24 hours before making the purchase. This can help you avoid buying things you don't need or can't afford. Another tip is to make a list before you go shopping, and stick to it. This can help you stay focused on the things you actually need, rather than getting distracted by sales or special deals. Part 7. Making room for fun in your budget. While it's important to stick to your budget, it's also important to make room for fun in your life. This might mean allocating a certain amount of money each month to entertainment or dining out, or taking a vacation once a year. When you're creating your budget, be sure to include a category for discretionary spending. This can help you avoid feeling deprived or like you're sacrificing too much in order to stick to your financial goals. Part 8. Keeping your partner on board. If you're in a relationship, it's important to make sure that both partners are on board with the budget. This can be challenging, as everyone has different spending habits and priorities. One tip is to set aside time each month to review the budget together and make any necessary adjustments. This can help ensure that both partners are on the same page and working toward the same goals. Part 9. Staying motivated. Sticking to a budget can be challenging, especially if you're working toward long-term financial goals. To stay motivated, try tracking your progress and celebrating your wins along the way. This might mean creating a chart to track your debt repayment progress, or rewarding yourself when you reach a savings goal. You can also find support and accountability through online communities or financial apps. There are many resources available to help you stay motivated and on track with your budget. In conclusion, creating and sticking to a budget is essential for achieving your financial goals and living within your means. By tracking your income and expenses, setting priorities, and avoiding common budgeting mistakes, you can create a budget that works for you and helps you achieve your financial goals. Remember, budgeting is a process, and it may take some time to find a system that works for you. Don't be afraid to make adjustments along the way, and celebrate your progress as you work toward your financial goals. With patience, discipline, and a commitment to your financial future, you can create a budget that works for you and helps you achieve your dreams. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more helpful tips and advice.